Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to Insta Ahl al-Bayt for a live program that we're doing with her narrative, her story. This time, inshallah, we're doing it with body image and self-esteem. So just waiting for people to join and for our guests to join, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you everybody for, thank you for joining us for another Insta Ahl al-Bayt live with myself, Berak Hussain, and our guest today, Sara Asam from, did I say that right? I should know how to say that, from London. Sister Sara joined us a few months back when we were discussing her bullying story, where she courageously shared her story on how she was bullied, how she was impacted, and how she overcame it. And it was a beautiful story. And for those of you who have not seen it, you can go on to Insta Ahl al-Bayt in the Instagram TV, and you can see her stories there. You can also see it on the Muslim Counsellor YouTube and Facebook pages. The full story is there. So today, inshallah, we're going to be welcoming back dear Sara. And Sara also happens to be my cousin, actually, from London, the family that I have in London. And it's been such an amazing opportunity the last few years to connect and meet up and continue meeting up, especially during the pandemic this way, right? So welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming. And I'll introduce Sara, where she is. Sara, why don't you give us a little introduction about yourself, what you've been up to, what you're doing? I can't find the bio you sent me, so I'm putting it back on you. I can't find it. MashaAllah, ma'ajura, inshallah, may Allah give you tawfiq and this beautiful purpose in life that you have and your goal. And inshallah, you'll be able to service people, inshallah. So thank you so much again for joining us. And like I said, a few months back, we did this beautiful session where we're talking to Sister Sara about the struggles she went through. And a lot of people reached out after to both Sara and myself, telling us how proud they were. So it just got a technical issue here. I've been told you cannot hear us on YouTube. No? YouTube and well, you can hear clearly on Instagram, right? It's very clear. I can hear airplanes in the background or something. Is that a motorcycle in London there? So I'm not sure what's going on. No, the sound. Let me check here. Double check before we continue because we don't want to have to repeat again. No, the sound. Yeah, the sound is fine. So Sister Fatima, if you can't hear me, I'm not sure, but you can't hear Sara? Sara? No, Sara's voice should be clear. Oh, you're muted, Sara. Thank you. Okay, Sara, can you unmute yourself on just click there. Yes. Thank you so much. There we go. It's all good. Thank you, Sister Fatima. We're good. We're good. Okay, so my voice is good. We're all good. We're on board. So I'm going to repeat again. So Sister Sara, wow, that's loud. That's a loud motorcycle we got going back there. So if the motorbikes keep coming, then we'll do that. That's okay. So Sister Sara is a 21-year-old. She's studying in pre-medical studies, hoping to be an oncologist to help treat cancer patients. And she is also a young mother of, how old is your son now? Almost 2?
No, he's going to be 3 in May.
MashaAllah. MashaAllah, yeah. Almost 3 years old. Big boy. He's an adorable little Fadduli, a big boy, mashallah. And so as we were saying earlier, that Sister Sara came out a few months ago talking about a bullying story that inspired a lot of people in the sense of them also experiencing similar stories. And we're taking a look at how Sara herself overcome the challenges that she had in terms of her bullying that she experienced, okay, and what she did to overcome that. Within that challenge of the bullying and how it impacted her wellness and her mental health, she also discussed how it impacted her body image issues, because she was made fun of a lot about her hijab, the way she looked. And mashallah, Sara, such a beautiful soul inside and out. It's hard for us to understand how people could do that, but we know that people can be horribly mean no matter what. And Sister Sara unfortunately experienced a very dark time in her life, where she had an eating disorder, and it truly impacted her well-being and her mental health and the way she looked at herself and the way she interacted. And it was severe to the point where she was very anorexic. And Sara was very courageous, mashallah, to share that with us. And you've even shared pictures with me, which you haven't done before. And what I found really interesting when you shared those pictures, you were saying how you thought that was the epitome of beauty at the time. You thought this is what you should look like, whereas you yourself said you look like a skeleton, you were very unhealthy. And these are things that we know a lot of young people experience, and not even just young people in schools, people who are done with school and so on and so forth. And so the last few weeks, we've collected some very interesting questions from our audiences, and inshallah, we're going to be sharing that today. And I also want to say that this is a safe space, inshallah, that we've created, a space where you can share your thoughts and questions and ideas live. You can send us your comments and questions. We'll be monitoring and sharing. However, any kind of abusive tone or ridiculing tone or anything like that will not be tolerated, and you will be kicked out of this live. So just putting that out there, we are setting our boundaries here of respect, inshallah. I hope we don't need to resort to that. Unfortunately, yesterday with Sister Tuqa, there was a few Yahoos in the audience who felt they could comment on our appearance and felt that it was appropriate. So needless to say, alhamdulillah, we know our boundaries and we know when to tell people, hey, we don't accept that. And that's all part of what we're talking about today, inshallah, is building up that confidence and that our sense of self-esteem and our appreciation of ourselves, but also from the perspective of body image issues. Now, before we get into that, I'm going to do a little introduction in terms of understanding what self-esteem is. I also will be referring back to some therapeutic resources that I have as a therapist, and how you can use that in the healing process and building your sense of self. So it's really important to understand when we begin, what is self-esteem? And generally what it is, it's generally stable, but it can fluctuate from day to day according to our thought pattern, which can be influenced by, our physical health, our chemistry, our appearance, our relationships. And it can fluctuate for optimism as well, because it suggests that our self-esteem can change, right? So the definition of self-esteem is central to our discussion today. Essentially what it is a realistic, appreciative opinion of oneself. Realistic means accurate and honest, right? Not with the shades of ugly that we put on sometimes on ourselves to look at ourselves, right? Appreciative here implies positive feelings and liking. So some speak of high and low self-esteem, but this makes self-esteem seem like a number, right? A game that is competitive and comparative. So it's preferable that we say simply that people possess self-esteem and they have a realistic and appreciative opinion of themselves. And so we'd have kind of like a spectrum rather than a number, right? And just to go a little bit more in depth into our discussion of concepts here, to understanding how it's related to self-esteem, it's often ignored and it's related to concepts that somewhat can be confusing and complex. So let's take a look at these. So identity, right? That can be part of that definition of self-esteem, right? Of who am I? What defines me? What's my essential character? Provides a sense of individuality, right? So perhaps a woman's identity could be derived from her role as a mother, perhaps, or as a wife, right? So, for example, somebody who's a paraplegic, their identity can be defined not by necessarily a crippled body, but rather the real or the inner self. Inshallah, that's going to be the focus of our discussion, and inshallah, is you'll see about the inner self, right? So, in terms of appreciation as well, it's to think well of, or to value and to enjoy, right? To recognize gratefully, to rightfully estimate the quality or worth of somebody. Acceptance is also another term that we use when we look at that. And also self-confidence. So sometimes we confuse and interchange. I've done that as well. Self-esteem or self-confidence, right? So, by the way, I'm loving the comments here with the unnecessary comments from people and everybody just coming to speaking beautifully and defending. I love the positive energy here. This shows that people have a lot of confidence here in terms of sharing that, right? So when we look at self-confidence here, so to understand the difference between self-esteem and self-confidence, it's the belief in one's abilities related to competency and self-efficacy. So as somebody's self-competence increases, naturally what happens, Sara, your confidence also increases with the competencies, right? So in the broader and deeper sense, self-confidence is a belief in oneself as a person, leading to a general sense of I can do it. So self-confident people could say things to themselves like, because anyone can do just about anything given the time, practice, experience, resources, so on and so forth, why can't I? That's a very positive outlook of oneself, right? So we could say also that I may not succeed completely or quickly, but the direction is what I'm hoping to do, right? So just quickly, some other concepts before we jump into our discussion. Pride is also something that is continued to discuss around self-esteem. Humility also, right? In terms of, there's two parts of humbleness. It's from the psychological perspective. I know in Islamic perspective, there's a lot of discussion around that, but from this angle here, there are two sides to humility. So self-defeating humility and healthy humility, right? So self-defeating is lack of self-respect. I want you all to keep these in mind, these definitions, these psychological definitions, because as we get into our discussion, we're going to be referring back to these terms, right? So here we take a look at, when we look at self-defeating, is a lack of self-respect for ourselves, right? So spineless, submissiveness, contemptibility, that kind of thing. Healthy humility, on the other hand, it's like a jumble of words here altogether, involves the absence of self-defeating pride. So this is recognizing one's imperfections or weaknesses, consciousness of one's shortcoming, ignorance, you know, that there's a recognition of, hey, you know what? I've got things I can work on, and that's okay. So being kind to ourselves, the realization that we are all of equal worth. And a healthy humility relates to the meek behavior in a positive sense. So something meaning mild, patient, not easily stirred or anger, right? And finally, selfishness, when we come to concepts of self-esteem. So some people sometimes equate selfishness with self-esteem. So it's important principle to understand that the purpose of self-esteem is to transcend the self, to bring yourself up, to like yourself, right? Self-consciousness is a painful situation that we know that keeps our focus inward. And so healing the pain with love, it enables ourselves to focus, to expand ourselves outward, not keeping that pain inward, right? So that way it makes us freer to love others, enjoy life, to break those boundaries around us, right? That shackle us in. And this also includes what we were discussing yesterday, for those of you who joined, how we are limiting ourselves with what others think of us, the created, as Tuqa said, rather than the creator, right? So here, the person with the self-esteem, as we get into our discussion, loves by choice from a secure base, having that strong security, as opposed to, say, a co-independent individual who possesses neither self-esteem or choice. So this self-esteem building, it reflects our best efforts. So inshallah, today, we're going to jump into this now in terms of connecting this to body image related to eating disorders. And we have some beautiful questions that our audiences had sent us, and we'll get right into it. But just quickly, mashallah, such a beautiful interaction of everybody here. So people are just commenting, so much love here. Bless you all, mashallah. For those of you who missed yesterday's talk, it is on the Muslim Counsellor YouTube page. Unfortunately, we had some internet issues, and we tried to get into the discussion. It kept cutting off. Not sure if it's saved on the Insta Ahl Bayt page, where the Instagram TV page there. It's not worth looking at, honestly. There, it's all cut up internet. For those of you who want to watch the whole thing, and it was a wonderful session that we had with Sister Tuqa on processing, on healing, and growing. And today we're continuing with that beautiful growing with this discussion. So you can find it on YouTube and Facebook. So alhamdulillah, I'm glad I checked YouTube to see that we did have the issues of no voice, and that was at my end. So alhamdulillah, let's get into our questions. And one of the first questions that we have here is what strategy, or rather, how to gain confidence in yourself and image. So I gave a brief intro in terms of what self-esteem is. And if we connect it over to the topic specifically of body image, I'm going to get Sara here to answer in terms of how did you gain that self-esteem, because confidence, as we said here, is about competency of skills, right, and abilities, whereas self-esteem is about liking yourself and believing in yourself. So how did you gain self-esteem within yourself and your image? And if you want to perhaps give just a little overview of your story and what led you into getting into these issues of body image issues.
Okay. So I had a bullying story, and I was bullied badly, obviously, and it led to me having an eating disorder at the age of 14. So I was diagnosed with reoccurring anorexia, bulimia, and yeah, I suffered a lot with it. Anorexia is not a joke, and yeah, it just caused me to be very underweight, to just not like the way I looked, not like the way I was. Yeah, I suffered for 3.5 years, but alhamdulillah, yeah, I'm not suffering anymore. So regarding the question, how to gain confidence in yourself and image, I'm going to split this into 2 parts. So basically, in yourself, confidence in yourself. So the first thing you want to do is you want to come out of your comfort zone. What you can do is you can only try, right? So this is, for example, taking small steps to try and come out of your comfort zone. So for example, let me give you an example. For me, obviously during my eating disorder time, I had GCSEs and I failed my GCSEs because I had too much mentally going on. So I thought that I could never be successful with the grades that I had. Sorry, I have my notes here and I'm just so I thought I could never be I thought I could never be successful with the grades that I have. For example, I'm not afraid to say, I achieved a G in maths. Okay, G is not even a grade. I'm telling you, G. When I saw my results, my dad was with me in the car. So I thought I could never. It doesn't
reflect your abilities either. Those marks were a reflection of your mental health at the time, as opposed to
definitely. There's no one that's dumb. It's just how you put in the work. And obviously at that time, I had too much. I was in and out of hospital and all that jazz. So I failed my GCSEs, and then I thought I could never do it. But obviously sometimes, for example, now I'm at uni doing medical physiology, and sometimes people ask me how, you don't have maths, you don't have science and all that stuff, but it's not maths and science that defines me. I tried. I put in my effort. I signed up to the course and I showed to the teacher, the course leader, that, I can actually work hard and achieve. And she has a very kind heart to let me go. So you never know what life can offer you. So try.
Yeah.
Secondly, remove all toxic people from your life. This is so important.
Yeah.
Friends, people that just make you feel rubbish, just take them out the door. And you don't need people like that in your life.
So just want to focus on that part a little bit. Sister Tuqa and I talked about that yesterday. I always talk about how to get rid of toxic people. It's more simply said than done. Can you describe, how did you do that? What would you give advice to young people or anybody really? How do you cut out people who are so toxic for you? And thank you, Khala Rehana. Love you. Love your comments of support there. Absolutely proud of Sara.
So for example, I know, of course everyone has friends, right? whether it's 2 friends or a lot of friends. And I know, especially within girls, we see this a lot within girl groups. Sometimes you get girls that try to put other girls down, and all they talk about is body and how you look and just stuff that is too much headache, basically. So just when I mean cut them off, I don't mean like, just say, I don't want to talk to you. Oh,
He wants to join. he's,
hello,
he's like, hello, Loz wants to say salam to everybody. Keep talking. Yeah, he's a friendly friend. He doesn't like toxicity either. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I mean, take toxic, like slowly, like just don't associate yourself around with people like that, girls like that, because you're just gonna feel more bad about yourself. There's nothing much you can do. Just slowly start cutting off. It's just a gradual process, I feel like. Yeah. And my final point in confidence in yourself. I know this is going to sound maybe a bit random, but honestly, try to walk every day for an hour. It's so important. Like, you don't understand, like, walking makes you feel so good. I love walking. And, take your mom, your dad, anyone you're close to, of course, within your bubble, because we have the whole COVID situation.
So, lockdown.
Yeah. Walk for an hour, 20 minutes, half an hour, walk. Don't use your phone. Don't use Snapchat, don't use Instagram, you don't need to take selfies and say I'm walking and all that.
It's like there's
just
this constant need. There's this constant need of having to show people what you're doing. I'm guilty of that too, but sometimes I do it for humor. Sometimes I do it because I find something fascinating and interesting. And other times, especially in my travels, which hasn't happened in over a year now, is just sometimes you like to share certain things, but then you bring such a good point here. Unplug and focus on yourself, as opposed to that constant need to show people for, I don't know, validation or whatever it is. Absolutely. Tell me a little bit more about the walking. What's the point of the walking? What is it about the walking that helps?
It just makes you feel good. Like, if you walk for an hour and you kind of fast walk, when you come back home, you're just feeling just good. You just feel in a different mood. Especially, when you're with someone who you're comfortable with, it just helps you become in a much better mood. It helps me a lot. I love walking. I force my husband out sometimes. I'm like, let's go walking. He's not bothered sometimes, but I'm like, let's go. And we both feel good after, we both do feel good, so yeah, just small steps like that really help. It really helps. It really, really helps. Small steps really help.
And so the reason why I said, what is it about the walk? It's because it's a form of exercise, right? Mm-hmm. And what happens when you exercise is that you release the stress hormones in your body, and that you're putting in the opportunity for the body to release endorphins, which is why you feel so good after that, right? And Khala Rehana says a lot of reflection comes from when you walk as well. That's absolutely beautiful. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing, Sara, your reflections. Did you have more that you wanted to add to that? Because there's a question that somebody has asked. So go ahead while I get that question.
No, this is the part of with self-image. This was about self-confidence, and this is about self-image. So self-image, it's very important to be content in what you have. In Arabic, our moms always say al-qana'a kanz. So being content is a treasure. It brings out simplicity. It can help you distinguish in what you want and what you actually need.
Yeah.
No one's happy. Like, there's no one in the world that's completely happy. Everyone has problems.
Everyone's got issues. Yeah, something.
Yeah. So when you're simple and when you're content and when you accept what you have, you're just going to create inner peace within yourself. You're just going to be happy with what you have, and you don't have to feel like you need more to be happy, because it's not true. You don't need more to be happy.
No, it's about content and qana'a with what you have. So I have a really nice question here from the audience in terms of how do you stop your parents' opinions about you from affecting your self-worth? That's one question. Thank you for sharing. And the similar question here, I'm going to put these all up together because they're all similar. How do you not let people's words affect you or manipulate your thoughts about yourself? And another one here is similar as well. How did you deal with negative comments from people and try not to let it get to you? To say how to, from negative, and try not to let it get into your head. So these 3 questions, I think, are all very similar. Do you want to take a crack at it, Sara, in terms of how not to let other people's words get to you, right?
Yes. Now this is something, of course, everyone goes through. I know a lot of girls that go through that. I go through it, and you know, especially women, they always talk. They're always talking. They never stop talking. So and especially us, as I feel like us as women, we're always sensitive. We're much more sensitive than men.
Right.
So to deal with negative comments from people and try to not let it get into your head, try and twist the negative comments. So if someone says, "Oh, you've gained weight," try and twist that and in your head and make it seem as if they're saying, "Oh, you look good," you know, or
And
try
especially in
to just
our Iraqi culture, right? One
Mhm.
of the first things, and I'm sure you have this in other cultures as well, one of the first things that people say, Assalamu alaikum, شلونك, أخبارك, ها سمنانة, ها ضعفانة, right? Is like, oh, you've gained weight. Oh, you've lost weight, right? And that's an interesting way of trying to break the ice and get into chit chat. But little do they know how it can really affect you. Sara, how did that
Definitely.
impact you at the time when you were going, having these image issues? And then how did you work through that in answering this question?
So obviously, when I was skinny and underweight, a lot of people realized that, you know, Sarah lost a lot of weight. What's going on? And obviously, I'm not going to go and tell people, you know, I have an eating disorder, because at the time it was just something very personal to me.
Right.
Now I'm not afraid to say it. But so for example, when I did gain weight and I got to a healthy weight, and you know, people were saying, "Oh, Sarah, you've gained weight, you've gained weight, you've gained weight." I didn't. How I didn't care about that is just because I felt happy within myself. So when you feel happy within yourself, you just don't care about what people say. Just don't care about what people say. Just don't. People's opinions don't matter, honestly. Don't care about what people say. Just do what you have to do, you know. You're just gonna give yourself headache. You know, they're gonna go home, they're gonna eat and sleep. You're just gonna be more hurt. And yeah.
Yeah. So let's go on to the next. Thank you so much for our audience members who are, mashallah, question after question here. Oh, wow. I don't know how I'm going to get through all of this. Who's your favorite Zakir? Can you talk about Marja' Taqleed? I think you got the wrong program today. All right. We're not doing that. So we speak about setting boundaries with toxic individuals. So inshallah, we'll get to that in just a moment. A lot of these questions here. Women justify haram habit due to seeing men doing it. Again, wrong program. We're focusing on self-esteem, mental health, and body image today, inshallah. So let's focus on that. So I'm just going to remove these questions for now. And we're going to jump into the questions that, how do you remove a question? Oh, here it is, X, yeah. That was a very silly question. So the question that we have next here is in terms of what strategies did you use to overcome? But before we get into body image issues, in terms of the strategies, can you tell us, how did you get to that point? I know you gave an outline earlier. I was bullied and this is what it led to. But can you describe in detail how it led to you having these body image issues, which then led to you having that eating disorder, before we talk about how you overcame it rather?
So sorry, can you repeat the question? Sorry.
So just let us talk. Can you tell us a brief detail in terms of how did the bullying and the impact of all of these people who hurt you, how did that lead you to having body image issues and eventually eating disorder?
Because
What was
it
it
was a
exactly?
fact. Because it was a fact that people were just always commenting about my physical appearance for some reason, and always, you know, every day when I used to go into school, "Oh, you're ugly, you're ugly, you're ugly," and "You're ugly, you're ugly, you're ugly. Who's gonna marry you?" Blah blah blah. And I started to believe that. I really started to believe I was ugly, and I was not good enough. And you know, I just was like, maybe if I can take control of my food and become skinny, you know, like those skinny, pretty, like girls, I'll look better.
You'll
But
be
no, it was very,
accepted, that you'd
yeah,
be
I'll be
accepted by them.
accepted.
Mhm.
But obviously, I was just hurting myself. So yeah.
So because they made fun of the way that you looked, you started eventually believing how often they would say it. So then you started taking control of the situation from what you're saying, because you couldn't control them or change them. Therefore, or ergo, you started taking control by harming yourself and hurting yourself, depriving your body of food and
Yep.
nutrition to come to some kind of image of acceptance. Now, when you did get to
Yep.
that point of having the unhealthy image, what were your thoughts about yourself at that point?
I didn't feel happy with the way I was. I didn't like the way I was. I was never confident with myself. And I tell you, for example, if I wear something, someone could say, "Oh, Sarah, you look so good," and I would never believe it. I would never believe it. I would never see myself the way people see me. Never, never.
And so,
I've never looked.
even when you had lost all that weight at that time and you were unhealthy, you were not
happy.
healthy, you still weren't happy with your appearance. What did people
No,
start saying at that point? That you didn't believe them, even when you were supposedly the image of what they wanted, right?
Yeah, it just people obviously were saying, "Oh, you know, you're too thin now," and whatever. But you know, the thing is, with an eating disorder, when you have anorexia, you have, it's sort of a fear of you know, eating and gaining weight. And bulimia is when you make yourself vomit to remove the calories. And I've gone blank.
So basically, no, you've answered it, Sara, and that even when you've lost that weight, you weren't happy with yourself, and people would comment, "Oh, now you're too skinny." So it went from one extreme to the other, or they complimented you on your supposed skinniness. Even then, your body image, you weren't satisfied with it. That's the key point here. So at that point, what strategies did you use to overcome these body image issues?
What strategies? So, of course, like I said earlier, I took out all the toxic people out of my life, which is a gradual process. It's not going to happen overnight. It can take time. I accepted weight gain. I felt so much healthier. You know, I felt healthier. I had energy. I had no energy when I was anorexic. I realized that all people struggle with body image and self-confidence. Everyone, you know, most women who you talk to, you can relate to, because everyone struggles with it in some sort of way. Some people more than others. I interpreted people's views on me positively, not negatively. So what I mean by this, like I said, as young girls, especially when you're young and your teenage years, you get very sensitive. Sensitive, like you start يعني على قولتنا يتحسسون هواية. So like if someone says, "Oh, Sarah, you know, you have this on, I don't know, you're wearing this and it makes you look a bit fat or whatever." I used to proper take that to heart, and it used to ruin my whole mood, my whole day. But now, if someone was to say that to me, I would just take it as a positive. Basically, what I would do, shall I tell you what I would do? I would put it in one ear and take it out of the other ear. That's what I would do. Best thing ever. Best thing ever. No, that's fine. I mean, my mom, she's amazing. And yeah, do you know, the thing is with my mom, like, I feel like she was obviously very hurt at the time because of me. And I remember she actually told me this. She was like, "You know, I used to check up on you every night because I was scared you were gonna..." There's some fly here. It's distracting. I don't know, because I've opened the window. But my mom used to check up on me every night because I was so skinny. She was afraid of me, like, you know, dying. And she's a mom, you know, at the end of the day, like, so she's gonna, yeah. So my mom, she helped me in a lot of ways. When she would eat, though, she would never feel happy that she's eating, because she'll feel like I'm not eating. So she used to feel like the food wasn't happy in her tummy. What can I say? Like, she did what she could. I mean, talking to me, you know, always talking to me.
Never gave up on you.
No, she didn't. She really didn't.
Until today, I notice you have such a special relationship. It reminds me of the relationship I have with my own mother. I think it's the women in our families are like that. They really nurture the relationship with their children, both the males and the females.
Very important. You have to become like friends with your kids as well.
Absolutely. To build that trust and to help us open up to them. And it sounds like you did that a lot with your mother, and that helped you. So that's amazing that, alhamdulillah, you were able to to use these kind of strategies to help you. Now, so here's a question. I don't know who it's if it's more for you and me, but we can both take a shot at it in terms of how can you be confident speaking in public? So somebody is wondering, how can you be confident speaking in public, especially, I guess, when you're talking about something that is so personal, right?
Look, remember my bullying story? I'm telling you, my heart was beating so fast. My legs were shaking under the table. I'm nervous. I'm still nervous now, but of course, much better than before. But don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's how you learn. Berak, I think I'm going to leave this question to you because you're like more competent.
Yeah, you're working on it now. For me, it's talking in public is like eating or breathing, so it comes naturally to me. And and I can tell you, since I was a child, my mom would tell me, you know, we'd walk past your room, hear you talking. We didn't know who you were talking to, and they come and they see like apparently all these my stuffed animals lined up in front of me, and I'm talking to them. So, or I'd be.
I thought I was the only one.
Well, no,
I talk to myself a lot.
It's a trait in our family that we do that. So my mom, I recall her telling me that, you know, we'd see you do that quite often. We'd see you speak to strangers, which wasn't really, you know, the best of things to do. But I used to speak to strangers at the bus stop with my parents with me. Things. This was in England, by the way, because I grew up there and my early childhood was there. And slowly, how I built into it, and the confidence and my confidence in my abilities to speak was honed early, young, very young. So my family saw it, teachers at school, and so for those people who want to build their confidence and it's basically building their abilities speaking publicly, you got to work on your self-esteem, right? Liking yourself, believing in yourself, working at something. And that's what I did really as a child. My parents pushed me and encouraged me to do public speaking competitions. I did it in the third language, en français. Alors, j'ai fait des concours d'art oratoire en français. I entered these French public speaking competitions. And you know how people get into athletics and all sorts of, you know, debate. That was my thing. The public speaking competition was my arena and my area, were the only thing that my immigrant dad at the time would allow me to do, right? It's school, home, nothing in between. So that was part of school. But alhamdulillah,
we love you too, Husna.
Salam Husna. I was going to answer that. Ashdidich Husna. We got to get Husna on one day talking about her training and what she wants to do with people as well. An amazing young woman in our community and a fellow counselor, I must say. So I'm very proud to see so many of our young brothers and sisters getting into that. So just quickly, so these public speaking competitions, because I was so good at them and I had the French accent, it encouraged me to do more and more. And because I was winning at the provincial level, what can that do for a young hijabi woman speaking in the third language, winning at the provincial level? Yeah, that's going to boost up your sense of esteem. Absolutely. And to represent your school, your community, and also your hijab in Islam. That for me really built my abilities. And also in our communities, our Hussaini communities, and I have to give props, shout out to Hussain al-Bahrani. She was amazing because she herself is a mulaya, a scholar, a lecturer. She used to pick out the people in the communities that we had, and she trained us. Whether somebody who had a beautiful voice can do a khidmah for like doing a mullah, right, reciting, or somebody who could do poetry, somebody who could sing, somebody can organize. She always handpicked people and trained other people to do it. She always put me as the MC or doing poetry and speaking English in the Arabic speaking audience. That also built my confidence speaking publicly. And then of course, community outside of Ottawa. Salam Khala, we love you too. Her mom, Sara's mom, just came on, and you know, props to Khala Aida. Hey girl, own it, own it, own it, own it. So anyhow, so if it wasn't for our parents, alhamdulillah, they encouraged to get into this, and it just built from that, right? People then get to know that, you know, you're somebody who can speak, you're somebody you can be relied on, right? And so that's how I got into it and just continued on, and it just naturally my work right now, Carl, well, at the university where I give presentations, do workshops, whether it's counseling, supportive counseling, that type of thing. So this is the thing. If you can take a skill that you have, whatever skill that you have, and nurture it and develop it as it's your passion, develop into your work, then it becomes easy to do, right?
And Sara, and don't compare yourself to others, because everyone has, like, just because, for example, you see someone more confident than you doesn't make you less confident. That makes sense. You can work on yourself.
So remember, self-esteem is about liking yourself and all of that. Confidence has to do with your abilities and working on them. And exactly like you said, just because you see somebody is different than you or doing more or doing different, that's okay. Everyone's got their own potential. This is part of what we say when accepting your abilities, right? Is that this is your potential. Accept what you have, but work on it to build it. Why not? There's always, always, always room for that building, right? Alhamdulillah. So let's look at our next question here. Number 4. Advise on how to feel with your body after pregnancy. So this is an interesting question. I think that a lot of women struggle with. Perhaps you were very fit and healthy before, and all of a sudden you see stretch marks and scars and gained weight, or perhaps loose skin, or whatever it is. It's normal. Your body changed because you were creating a life within you, right? That your body is creating another human being. That is a lot of stress on your body, right? That's a lot of changes on your body. You're bringing life into this world. What an honor for those women who have experienced that, right? And perhaps a lot of women could have some insecurities as well. I'm worried what my body's going to be like after I give birth, and so on and so forth. I'm going to let you, Sara, give us your experience and your thoughts about that, and I'll add my own after. Go ahead.
So guys, I gained a lot of weight with my son. Like I probably gained roughly 20 kilograms with my son. I think Berak, you saw me.
That's normal. That's normal.
Remember
That's
how I looked.
beautiful, mashallah, glowing.
Thank you. So like Berak said, acknowledge it's normal. You know, it's normal to eat. It's normal to feel hungry. I didn't eat for 2. I ate for 7 people. So ما قصرت بالأكل.
العافية.
الله يعافيك. Give yourself time and make changes at your own pace. Healthily, don't overexert. Don't do what I did and 7 weeks after birth go to the gym and expect to pick up weights and snap back, because I literally damaged my back because of that. So silly of me. Silly Sara. Don't compare your body with anyone else's body. I mean, everyone, like there are some people that, you know, they snap back. That's just the way their body is. Some people don't. I didn't snap back. And I was very slim. I was a size 6 when I first got married. I was very slim. And obviously I gained weight because I was pregnant. And it took me like, I think a year or more to lose all the weight. So everyone's different. Everyone like gains weight different. Some people have harder pregnancies. Alhamdulillah, my pregnancy was an easy pregnancy. Think of the power, like Berak said, that your body has done. I mean, you've grown a whole human being in your body, and you've given birth. That's a tough one on the table. You know, it's not easy. Not everyone can do that. Not everyone can do that. Giving birth is it's a struggle. Except that pregnancy does change the body, but it's, like I said, it's not impossible to snap back, and your baby feels what you feel. I believe that your kid is connected to you in some way or other. So if you're like, you know, down all the time and feeling, you know, rubbish about yourself, your baby's just going to be agitated and stressed. Also, don't focus too much on the mirror. My mom always shouts at me. She's like, I'm always looking at myself in the mirror. But it's true. Don't focus. Like if you want to wear something or do something, just do it quickly and go. Don't just stand there for hours thinking this doesn't look good and I need to do this, because you're gonna feel down about yourself.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If you focus just on the fact that your number is going up and up on the scale, you are definitely, what you're doing right there is you're connecting your worth onto what the numbers on the scale, rather than understanding that your value and your worth is dependent not on these external factors, rather on these internal factors of how you connect with yourself, believing in yourself, your connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, rather than your interactions and your dependency upon what other people think about you, right? So it's interconnected definitely this way. So it's really important to understand that for those ladies who are being pregnant or are planning or who are already after, you have to understand that whatever your body has after, whether it's the scars, whether it's the stretch marks or any of these things, right? These are what you call, what's the term just came into my head and it just slipped out just as I was about to say it. What's the term? War? Oh, geez, just slipped my mind. Help me out here. Battle scars, battle scars. There it is. Yeah. So for like, you can look at it like that this is my battle scar. I'm proud of this. I'm proud, alhamdulillah, that I had, medal. Exactly. Thank you, sister. So it's something that you're proud of in the sense, alhamdulillah, tiger stripes. Exactly. Yeah. All of that, right? The tiger scars, right? You can look at it as stretch marks, or you call them tiger stripes. I'll have you reframe it. I just wanted to ask everybody who's watching, would you be interested in doing a body appreciation after we're done? It's a form of meditation that we do to reinforce and strengthen body appreciation. Can we have a yes or no for that? A yay or nay? Would you be interested in that at the end of our session? This is actually something that I've done with my own clients, and it is so powerful and so beautiful. I think it fits perfectly with what we are discussing today in terms of body image and our self-esteem and appreciation. Wonderful. All right. So I'm seeing lots of yeses here. This is for both our brothers and sisters, because believe it or not, a lot of males also experience body image issues in the form of what we call body dysmorphia, right? So people who have these convoluted or a distorted image of themselves and are so hard on themselves to look a certain way. I think during the pandemic, I don't know if that's increase or decrease, just because we have either become really fit and healthy or gone the other end. Probably most of us went the other end the first time, and then focusing on on ourselves after, right? So it's really important to understand that we're all different, our circumstances are different, and that we are all going to respond differently to our environment around us, right? And the way that we look at ourselves, like Sara's story, because she experienced ABC, it led her inward to do that. And what we want to do is understand, to focus on the external here in terms of not caring about what people think in terms of the external, right? So let's take a look at another question here. I'm just going to jump on to Facebook and YouTube. There's a really good question. So I'm going to post this up on here. Sara, if you can take a look here as well. How important is it to be honest with ourselves and not sugarcoat? Go for it, Sara. You answer that from your experience, and I'll put my spin on it. How important is it to be honest with ourselves and not sugarcoat?
What does sugarcoat mean?
Sugarcoat is, it's not a UK expression. Sugarcoat North America means kind of mujamala, like putting something sweet on a comment and not necessarily being honest, right? When you're sugarcoating to somebody, you are not telling them the truth, but you're making it soft and sweet so that it doesn't hurt their feelings or around. So like that in Arabic, like mujamala.
That's fine. Like in mujamala in a certain way is fine, because that's, for some people, they're just being more careful about what they say. Like, obviously, like for me, I wouldn't go to someone and say, "Oh, you're fat." Like, I wouldn't, because I know how it feels like when someone says that to you. Being honest with yourself is, be really honest with yourself. Be really honest. Don't be afraid to be honest. Just
so
be
it
you.
is important. Absolutely, it's important. Yeah. So
it's very
okay.
important.
So what if you gained a few pounds, right? It's okay being honest. Okay, so I've gained a few pounds. That's okay. Acknowledging that and understanding and validating our circumstances, that, you know what, we're in a global pandemic right now, and all I've got in front of me is the fridge, and my gyms are closed, and we can't go outside. It is normal to gain weight if our body does not have the same exercise level or energy movement as it did before. Even just in let's say we didn't go to the gym, even in the places that we worked before, going back and forth, going to the washroom, going to get coffee, that was a lot more movement than we have now. Obviously, that's going to impact your body, right? So being honest, acknowledging, being aware, but not self-hating, right? And also to other people. So somebody mentions sugarcoating is telling the truth, making it sound good to you, to make yourself feel better, to avoid the negativity or the truth of it, right? And you say that to other people as well, right? So I'm just reading another question here, somewhat related. And I think we've already answered that when we said, how did your experience affect your life? Did anyone else who did mention before in your story that it affected your parents very deeply. They were really concerned, right? Do you want to just quickly answer that before I bring in the next question?
Yeah, it affected my life in the fact that I just was trapped in this sort of bubble called anorexia, and it was just taking over my life basically. And I think my dad and mum were the most people that were hurt about it, because my dad was like, you know, I go and I work so hard and I bring food and you don't want to eat it. And he used to get so upset, but I just couldn't, you know, it's so bad. It proper controlled me. And obviously it affected my life. Like I just didn't want to be around people, because I just thought I was just, you know, a lot of people noticed I was very down most of the time. I wasn't myself, and it basically affected me negatively. That's all I can say. It affected my life. I really don't wish it on anyone. I really don't.
Alhamdulillah, you're in a better place now. And I see a lot of questions on Instagram that our brothers and sisters are sharing, and I think it will answer. So I'm not ignoring your question. I'm just reading them and putting them into the ones that we have very similar to it, especially with people describing specific examples of how people were treating them. And I think this question here, it really takes a look at what you have all asked us, our dear brothers and sisters, in terms of how do you cultivate self-love and not depend on external validation for confidence. What are your thoughts around that, Sara?
So external factors are not always reality. What you see in people on social media, it's not always, you don't know what happens behind closed doors. And I'm sure most of you know that. You know, everyone has to focus on themselves. Everyone has their own problems. Everyone has to focus on themselves. It's in your own hands to develop self-love, and not in anyone else's hands. You have to do it for yourself. No one, like when obviously when I had the eating disorder, yeah, my mom was supporting me, my dad was supporting me, and all that stuff. But who actually had to help themselves? Me. I had to help myself and get better. I went to, you know, dietitian, but it was in my own hands to get better. So it was my decision. And the only person we should depend on for validation is Rabbil Alameen, because he is Arhamar Rahmeen, and we belong to him and we'll go back to him. So don't please anyone, just please Allah. Seriously.
That's amazing. And it goes back to what we were saying earlier, is that when you how you cultivate rather self-love is when you cut off your dependency for acceptance of others by understanding that these external factors, that your worth is completely independent of them, but rather your worth is completely dependent on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and your connection and relationship to him, right? For those who are interested in the meditation we're going to do, it is exactly called that, right? Reinforcing body appreciation in terms of also the external factors, and just in terms of a resource, like I mentioned earlier, I will mention some resources that can help you. This is one of my favorite resources that I use for self-esteem, and what it does, if you look at the titles here, so I know on Instagram's backwards, but you can see it. If you look some of the topics here that it takes a look at, so you see them right there, and I'll just read them out loud. So it takes a look at how to like yourself, right? Looking at conquering self-doubt. This is really important. Seeing your core worth, rational thinking, body appreciation, especially with our body image topic today, right? Affirming thoughts, enlarging possibilities, flop inoculation, forgiving yourself, loving meditation, and liking the face in a mirror. So this is something that I use one-on-one with my clients when we look at how to cultivate this self-love and the external love. And our sorry, some of the comments here are quite funny. They're saying, well, what's the topic? And somebody says, the topic is how to cook dolma with honey. Make sure you add honey on that dolma, Iraqi style. I love the humor. So when we talk about self-love here, it's exactly what we were talking about today with al-tuqa. Self-love from an Islamic perspective, what we are discussing is not about what we see in pop culture, what we see in magazines and the media. You know, it's not about that. Self-love is about knowing who you are and knowing Allah, right? Self-love is about ultimately the greatest of love. It's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so this is how we connect it to this idea. Our external validation is dependent upon our wanting to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you connect yourself this way to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all of these external factors will disappear and mean nothing to you. But this is a work in progress. It's not an instant overnight thing, right?
Definitely.
It's something that you work on. And we encourage our brothers and sisters to be aware of that. When you put your value and your worth, whether it's physical, whether it's emotional, on other people, it's not going to last, even if they compliment you. Like Sara said, she almost killed herself with her eating disorder to look a certain way. And even at that point, she was unhappy with herself when she was trying to fit the image of what others said was beautiful, right? So here, what we see is we need to understand that when we internalize it by connecting to the ultimate, everything else melts away. And that takes time, right? We have to give a shout out here to Khala Aid again, because Habibti Ana kullish fakhura beach binti. You can see the mama love here is very proud of her. And Sara, we are absolutely all proud of you. Everybody who has been touched by your story, your courage to speaking about this. And I know it's hard. I can see it sometimes as you're speaking. It is almost like you're remembering. But we love you, Sara, in terms of your strength, your inner and outer.
I love you too.
How much Allah Hafdh. And I'm absolutely just inspired by your spirituality as well in your journey. And I can feel that and see that other people are really impacted with that, you know. Alhamdulillah wa shukr. So for those who were asking, here's a really nice question. Did your relationship with Allah help you in your future?
Yeah. I'm saying yeah, like yeah. Yeah, let me explain. Yes, it did, because you know the thing is, look, it's not, I know sometimes it's really hard to, sometimes you go through phases where you're like you get a bit lethargic and sitting down and actually واحد like يتوجه لرب العالمين, like to sit down and actually supplicate and talk to Rabb al-Alameen. I know sometimes we go through phases where just, you know, we're either tired or we just don't feel like it's gonna work, and that's normal. But like I feel like when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows your intentions, when he knows your intentions, he will give you so much more. So for example, like if he takes people out of your life, for example, it's for a benefit of you and for the other person. Something simple like that. My relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's amazing. Is that being big-headed if I say it's amazing?
Absolutely.
Yes or no?
Absolutely.
It is. Wait, is that me being big-headed by saying my relationship with Allah is amazing? I mean, like, is
it you got cut off there?
Is it me boasting if I say my relationship with Allah is
no,
amazing?
Why not? That's very
okay.
It's
because I don't want to sound like, you know,
because it's inspiring to others. If you're not sounding no. If you think you're saying arrogant, absolutely not, because what you're saying is that this is something that when your relationship with Allah is strong, you are encouraging others to feel that way too, or to work towards that. But this is your personal feeling, Sara. When you say that your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is amazing, that's a beautiful thing. Absolutely. And whoever wants to take it the wrong way, that's their problem, right? We all have a lot to learn and grow from, but this is your personal feeling. So it is your valid point, Habibti. Go for it.
I still don't do a lot for Rabb al-Alamin for what he has given me. يعني أن على قولتنا مثل إحنا مقصرين يا رب العالمين. But just sit down and actually talk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you know, just take the day as it is. Put your trust in Allah, and he'll give you, he'll organize your life for you, basically.
Absolutely. Yeah. And to keep absolutely, it's always inspiring when you hear people who talk about their relationship with God, or let's say somebody they love, right? It's all about love here. When you talk about how much you love your mother, like mashallah, so much love from your mom today, right? And that's a beautiful thing to see. And for And for us to hear of somebody that they have a good, positive relationship with their Lord, that's inspiring for others as well to want to get to that point, right? Absolutely. So we have a really nice question here that says, can you guys talk about how to connect to Allah to help us with self-care, such as depression and not caring about our looks or hygiene? I just quickly want to say we spent 2 hours and a half almost yesterday with Sister Tuqa talking about similarly these issues. And here, if you continue listening to the whole discussion that we're having, inshallah, we'll touch upon this in our different questions that we do have here. Question here that could help answer this is, when we take a look at what advice would you give to those who don't marry because of self-love or confidence issues?
Okay, so so for me, I got married at 17, 18. I was very young, right? And when you're very young, you're still like, I had just come in, I can't say the word. I have just came out of the eating disorder and like recovered and got better and just started to have a, a better relationship with food and
You're still
everything.
very vulnerable.
And then obviously, yeah. And then obviously my husband came. Yeah. And then obviously my husband came and everything. So, what my advice to you is, you can't sit around waiting. It's a gradual process to love yourself and gain confidence. Sometimes marriage can actually help boost confidence. Like, you don't know, because you don't know. Like, if the person comes and you feel a connection and you feel like a chemistry, then don't say no to that opportunity, if that makes sense. For example, me, when I got married, I was young, right? And stuff like Berak, like injections, needles, blood tests. I'm the biggest chicken when it comes to injections, needles, blood tests, anything. Like, I would يعني اتخربط ما ادري ايش يصير بيا, right? And basically my husband, in the beginning of marriage, I was very shy, but I remember he came with me a couple of times to the hospital for blood tests and stuff, and I really chickened out in front of him. And him being, for example, 8 years older than me, he's more mature and stuff like that. So he told me that it's okay to be scared of stuff, but it's just a mindset. And I remember once he actually had to hold me, force me down for a blood test. So sometimes marriage can actually help boost your confidence. So especially if it's the right person, not someone who comes and just makes you feel more worse about yourself.
Key point here. Absolutely. When you're with the right person, meaning that they're respectable, they're appreciative of you, and they're somebody who are connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well, they're going to value you in their life and of course make you feel beautiful and very, appreciated, right? And we can take a look at those people who are unfortunately in toxic relationships and unhappy relationships where we know and we've seen how they put their partners down, lift them up, trash them, and comment on their looks and make them feel very ugly. And I've heard this from a lot of men and women, like for example, men who work out and keep fit and healthy, and they try to make themselves attractive to their partners physically, yet the women don't appreciate that the men do that to take care of themselves. More baba pacha abul kirsha, so the guy who's got that beer belly, as they say in English, right? And so the woman doesn't appreciate her husband's efforts in taking care of his physical health and his physical appearance, right? So we see that. So then you have the opposite with the opposite gender, rather, where the men also will not appreciate the woman's efforts, or even let's say she's given birth and she's got these, battle scars, the tiger stripes or whatever, and they make her feel unworthy or make her feel unhappy and about her appearance, that she's not deserving of that love because she's gained weight or whatever, right? So it truly depends on the relationship that you have with your partner, right? And so those who don't marry because of self-love or confidence, you're missing the point of marriage. And you're missing the point of what self-love and confidence means from the descriptions that we've described in our session today, from a spiritual, psychological perspective and a practical lived experience perspective here, right? Here, if you're with the right partner, here's another thing. Even if you're with the right partner, meaning they're mu'addabin, mu'mineen, they're good human beings, and you don't have self-confidence or good self-esteem, no matter what they say or do, it's not going to go into your head. It's just not going to connect, right? So it's really important that you work on yourself, right? You work on building yourself. When we talk about self-love, it's like connecting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and building your relationship with the ultimate divine love. And when you have that and you build on that, again, all these external factors, inshallah, melt away, whether you talk to a therapist or a friend who can help you through that, or a potential partner. Here's another thing that I've heard from partners is that it's a turnoff for them to constantly hear their partners, not liking themselves or not
Just,
happy with themselves and
nagging
always
too much.
negative.
Nagging.
People, nagging.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be around somebody who's negative all the time, even if it's about themselves, especially about themselves. Tfaddali.
Yeah. The thing is, it's when it comes to women, it happens to women a lot. And women, I feel like, nag more in the relationship about this kind of stuff. Like men, for example, I was walking with my husband one day and he saw a guy he knew and he was like, Assalamu alaikum, Sayyid, you've gained weight. And my husband he said thank you and everything. And it did not affect him. I was staring at him. I was like, how? If someone said that to me, I would cry, but so
right.
We just have to,
because your worth is connected.
Talk. I mean,
because your worth was connected on what they said. Yeah.
You can talk to your husbands or your partners and communicate, share your feelings. It's okay, but don't dwell on it too much because it makes them hurt actually to see you like this. It does. It really does. And you don't want to hurt your husband, not good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. For all of those who don't marry because they think that they are not worthy or they're afraid of what their partners are going to say, I encourage you, please seek the appropriate support, whether it's friends, family, or therapy, to work on that, because you are absolutely deserving of finding love and finding the right partner on your path towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this dunya for your akhirah. You are absolutely worthy of that, right? You are beautiful. And these are not just cliche words. You are all beautiful, unless you have a rotten soul. Then you're kalb bin kalb, that's a different story. But just saying, in general, you are all beautiful. You have a beautiful soul. And when you look at a person, you are not, there has to be an attraction. That's a different story, right? You definitely want to have an attraction to the other person. But you can find the most gorgeous, handsome, good-looking human being on earth, right? Physically, as soon as they open their mouth, as soon as they speak, as soon as they say the things that they do, that's when you see their true beauty, right? In terms of their behavior, in terms of how they interact with people, in terms of their akhlaq, their manners. Then you can see when they are, awlad al-jahush, then you can see how ugly they actually are. Their appearance actually makes them, or their behavior actually makes their beautiful looks look really ugly, right? And sometimes you find people who are, let's say, not physically very, the way we've described, beautiful, attractive in that sense, but as soon as you see their akhlaq, their manners, they become the most beautiful of people, mashallah, right? So for my brothers and sisters who are struggling with this, habibi, and I know we got a little Iraqi, darba slang in there. We got to throw in those words to make this humorous, right? And I'm glad the humor is working here. Absolutely. For those of you who are struggling with your self-worth and you're preventing people getting close to you for the possibility of marriage, please, please, please. I can't hold myself, not holding. Tuqa and I really held ourselves back yesterday from certain things, but the comments I'm getting today, like, never seen that one coming. Yeah, it's kind of surprising when we get into the comfort zone of talking, but you guys get my point. So back to this point, for those of you who are struggling with your self-worth, please, Allah yakhallikum, go get the support that you need to work through it. You deserve that love. Now, this is not to say at the same time, for those of you who are single, divorced, widowed, or it just never works out, that you end up with somebody, your worth is not dependent on that person either, right? Sure, the other person completes your faith. And the idea here is that you are working on the same path towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? But if you don't have that person in your life, that's okay. You are still worthy of love and divine love, and you can still work towards that. Obviously, it's better if you have the right person, but you don't necessarily have to be stuck in a marriage that's causing you to move away from Allah or causing you a lot of pain. You don't need to stay in that place. If it's pushing you away, it's damaging your worth, it's hurting you, then no, you deserve so much better than that. Okay, so this is for both, from a married and not married friends here. You need to understand that. So I kicked out that person because masakh, kullish masakh, and we don't need that masakha in our discussion here. So you don't need to ask that. You know exactly what we're talking about here. So our next question here is, this is an interesting question that was sent to us, and it's related to what we said here. Husband likes me how I am, chunky, chubby, but I prefer to be thinner. What do I do? Sara, what's your thought on this in relation to what we've been chatting about?
Okay, so ultimately, like I said, it's communication, and I always tell this to people that I'm married, even though I'm not an 85-year-old woman that has full experience of marriage, but from what I have experience of, communication is key. So sit down with your husband, exchange ideas, exchange thoughts, feelings, and talk to your husband and tell him, this is how I'm feeling, this is what I want to do, see what he says, work with what you have. And understand that it's okay, like people have preferences, like it doesn't mean that he doesn't love you or he doesn't cherish you. No, maybe he just prefers, but that's his preference,
عادي. Yeah.
كلش عادي، كلش طبيعي.
And key thing you mentioned, dear Sara, here's communication, right? Communicating with your partner, letting them know. So for those of the young woman who brought in this question, so you want to be thinner. How about we change the word thinner? Because thinner, it has a lot of negative connotation with everything we've been discussing about eating disorders, right? Is that we want to maybe reframe that and say maybe fitter, right? Because you can still have an appearance, but still be fit and healthy, right? So communicating with your partner is truly important, whether it's about the way you look, whether it's about akhlaq, whatever it is, having that wonderful communication. And I'll just reiterate, like I did from yesterday, excellent resource for communication between men and women is this book here. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. A really good one, again, that we brought up yesterday is love languages. This is really important for both men and women. And this is not just for relationships, this book, this is for all our relationships and friendships. And there's a whole series on this. Let me just get all of them here. The men are from Mars, women are from Venus. They also have one specifically on stress. So this is a really excellent book to understand, because we are wired differently biologically. We respond to stress differently. So we really need to understand that. And there's a really excellent book on intimacy between married couples as well, which also helps with communication. And I'll also bring up this book here. So this is Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, Book of Days. So this gives you daily reminders of beautiful things that you can empower yourself, inspire you and your couple, a woman's worth, a verbal reassurance. Each day it's got one. So discovering our purpose. Men need solutions. Women need to share, that kind of thing. Just beautiful reminders daily when it comes to your partners that I highly recommend that you educate yourself a little bit more, on in terms of how to communicate with your partner in a healthy manner, inshallah. So we have gone through actually all of the questions that were sent ahead of time. I'm going to go through the questions that were sent in terms of that. So this is an interesting one here. So my husband has body image issues and it affects me. So your husband has body image issues. For that sister who shared that question, can you kindly elaborate a little bit more? So he has body image issues and it affects you. How does it affect you? What do you mean by that? So for that sisters who posed that question, if you can kindly just follow up with that. Sara, if you just want to have a think and share your thoughts on this, because this is interesting.
Shall I talk now? Or?
Go for it. Yeah. Sorry, somebody was mentioning the book, so I just had to show them again.
No, that's fine.
Go ahead.
Body image affects men 100%, but men just don't show it. They don't. They just know how to hide it more than women. Like, we would get affected, they would just know how to hide it more. But it's okay that he struggles. I mean, maybe he struggles with the fact that maybe he wants to get fit or he wants to gain weight. I don't know. But you have to, as your duty, as a good wife, a lovely wife, you have to sit down and make him feel it's okay to talk. Let him share his feelings with you. Be like his friend, be his best friend. Don't be afraid, to sit down and talk to him and let him express to you how he feels. You can help him, if he wants to get more fit, you can help him by, making healthier food, or, going out for a walk together, stuff like that. Yeah.
They're wonderful suggestions. And the key thing is that to have that open communication, to make it safe, make him feel safe, that you're not going to punish him for showing the emotion. But also, this is absolutely very important. I have seen this a lot in couples as well, and the body image issues of men have, like we said. So I just got kicked out of Instagram. Not sure what is going on. And we were having a wonderful discussion. So I'm not sure what happened there. Sara, do you want to open the the sound? I'm not sure what happened on Instagram. It got cut off. So maybe what we could do, if you like, Sara, we can go on my own account. Let's go to Berak _. Do you want to go? I'm going to just do a live from there to continue the discussion. Not sure what happened. It just it just kicked us out. So let me just get that. Very strange, huh? We're in the midst of a very lively, engaging discussion, but sometimes, these things happen. So like yesterday we had all the internet issues, and then today that's okay. Khair inshallah. So let's just do that. So are you ready to go on Instagram again, Sara? I'm gonna turn off the sound here. Are you good to go there?
Yep.
Okay. That's the joys of doing live programs. You don't know what's going to happen. All right. We're good to go? All right. So I'm going to go back into Instagram to do the live from my own account, and then I'll just mute ourselves here. So so strange. It's been a very strange weekend. I'm finding that this weekend has been a very bizarre weekend. I'm not sure. It's not allowing me. It's not allowing me to do the live here. Sorry, just give us a second. So Sara, why don't you talk a little bit more about, let me see here. I was trying to remember some of the questions that they were giving us, because they had given us some really great questions there. Let me just refresh Instagram for a second. I do hope that what we recorded was saved there, because alhamdulillah, we had quite a great discussion going over there. So I'm not sure. I really hope that it's saved automatically. Okay, so I'm going on Instagram. I'm turning off the sound here. So Sara, there. Assalamu alaikum. So we got kicked out. Not sure what happened. We're back now on Instagram, but through a different account. You can just join us here. Okay, so the people are just joining us here, inshallah. There we go. Salam, Sara. We're back there. So I'm just gonna. It was very weird. I'm not sure why it just got cut off very quickly like that. Khair inshallah. I'll figure it afterwards. What's going on? So I'll just quickly put a note that we are on Instagram. Oh, that's really up close. That's okay. So I'm just going to put a note that we're on Instagram, but on another page. So, all right. So some of the discussion questions have been really great today in terms of taking a look at specifics in terms of, we took a look at body image and self-esteem. We looked at different definitions of self-esteem, and we elaborated more on how Sara, through her bullying experience, how it led her to her eating disorders and how it really impacted her spiritually, emotionally, physically, and all that she did to get back to her base level. So I'm not sure, people are asking what happened to the live. I'm not sure. Just want to let people know that we're doing the live here. Inshallah khair. Just give me, sorry, a moment while I do that. Okay. So, all right. So let's go back to summarizing what it is that we were talking on Insta Ahl al-Bayt. So for those of you who were there, just join us here. Let others know. It's something, anyways, it happens all the time. Adi, mu mushkila. All right. So alhamdulillah, thank you for everybody who had all these great questions. For those of you who are just joining, we are talking about body image and self-esteem issues, and how having an eating disorder really impacted Sara's life, but also what she did to get back on track, alhamdulillah, and what she did in terms of building self-esteem. And you also talked about building your self-confidence in terms of building your competency, building your awareness around everything, and building everything when it comes to just being aware, right, of the fact that you weren't happy even when you did everything that society deemed for you to do, and here you were still unhappy, and still your mental health was deteriorating, you were feeling very low and depressed, etc., etc. So now you are in this better position where you said, no, you know what, I've had enough. People around me love me and care about me, and they're not doing well, and I don't want them to be feeling this way, and I don't want to feel this way anymore, right? So alhamdulillah, shukr. Again, I'm so proud of you in terms of, I think this is probably one of the first times in our communities that we've been talking about this topic, right? You said when you started sharing about your story that a lot of people started connecting with you, started talking to you, started sharing their stories. What are some of the stories that you really connected with other people on, Sara?
I feel there's so many. I don't know. Just the
What
fact
really
that
struck you?
that people, some, what really, actually, shall I be honest? I made a poll before this Instagram live program, and I was very surprised to see what people. I asked people to. I asked people. I said, what's the most helpful thing someone has said to you? And I got people saying they've been called fat, they should get their nose done. Someone said the way people look at me hurts. Someone said they've been told you look better with the hijab on. Someone said you are selfish.
Which is really none of their business to be talking about your appearance with the hijab or not the hijab, right?
Yeah, it's not. Someone said you were selfish when you were young and it stayed with you. Someone said you've gained so much weight, thinking it's a compliment, Arabs. Someone said you look bloated, you look like someone who can eat, you should go to the gym. Someone said they spoke about their eyebrows, but what I feel like what shocked me was that I've seen most of these people in real life, and I've seen a lot of people on my Instagram, if not all, in real life, and everyone's just so beautiful. Like I don't see anything wrong with anybody. Honestly, I think everyone's beautiful, and I was just really shocked to see that people actually have been people have said stuff like that to them. That makes sense. Yeah.
That other people have experienced basically what you have experienced. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
And so when you hear, my brothers and sisters, that other people have experienced what you've experienced, it makes you feel less isolated, right? Less alone, and more of an understanding that, you know what, this is pretty common, but it's not acceptable. It's not okay for people to mistreat other people like this, make them feel disgusting, right? Make them feel very low, make them feel unworthy, right? It's very mean, to say the least, right? And I think it's a reflection, Sara, upon those people who do that bullying. I think there's a lot of khalal or there's something often wrong about these people who have the need, perhaps, especially now during the pandemic, so more of the you call the keyboard warriors, or hiding behind a facade, right? That they feel it's okay to go behind that and hurt people, whether it's slandering, harassing, or bullying, cyberbullying, like essentially, right? So people feel like it's okay to do this thing, and they feel that they are in the right to make fun of people this way. So, you know, shahad, as the Lebanese would say, right? Like, no, you have no right to comment on the way we look. You have no right to make fun of us. You have no right to say any of these things. And if you do, right? It comes in one ear and goes out the other, because these words, once they stay here and we take them in, then they can really harm us. Then they can really hurt us. But then when we also try to look that these people have their own problems and they're projecting onto us, it's about them. It's not about us. And because, Sara, something really struck me earlier when you were saying that you believed what these people were telling you. You became ill spiritually, physically, mentally, because you believed what these people, their toxicity came in. And you, at that time, sort of, that sounds rough when I say, it was almost like you allowed it to come in. And when the moment you set up your boundaries and not allow people to come in to hurt you, that's when you built your strength. That's when you built your self-esteem and also your confidence in your abilities. What are your thoughts on that thought?
It's you're right. I told you before, I was just really sensitive and naive, and I feel like I used to believe what people tell me a lot, especially when it comes to myself. But obviously, I mean, when comparing, obviously, age-wise, you know, you grow and you learn, and you know, life puts you like through a lot of stuff, so you learn. But yeah, it's just about setting boundaries. It's just about, you know, learning that people always, you can't please people. You can't. And just be yourself, do what you have to do, and that's it.
And it is important to set those boundaries and not allow people to impact you absolutely that way. Again, this is easier said than done. And that's why we have these discussions, to talk to our brothers and sisters who've had these lived experience, you know, and it's truly an opportunity to share with each other, to help each other learn and grow from each other. And I highly recommend, for all of those who've asked questions earlier about how do you deal with ABC, so on and so forth, watch both the session we did yesterday and today's session, because we get into depth on that, working through the healing or whatever situation that you're in, right? And for today's session, alhamdulillah wa shukr, I think we went to pretty good depth in answering the questions that our wonderful audience shared over the last few weeks. And today's, mashallah, the questions that people are asking. And I thank every one of you who've shared all of those personal stories of yours as well, your personal examples of how you have experienced a lack of self-esteem and body image issues. And again, to summarize that before we do our session right now, is I want to take a look at understanding how important it is that you value yourself in relation to God, as opposed to, and what I said today, to the creator rather than the created. That's really powerful. When we talk about loving ourselves, when we talk about growing, when we talk about deflecting what others are saying about us and not letting what others say to hurt us here, this is what it means, right? It means connecting to the creator rather than the created. And when we do that, this is when, from a spiritual psycho perspective, this is when we can absolutely learn how to grow and how to expand ourselves and how to not allow those other people to hurt us the way that they have. Now, thank you so much again, my dear, dear sister. And I wanted to again commend your courage for speaking about your story in the last few months ago and today. And I know you've inspired so many young men and women who themselves have experienced or are experiencing or may experience, you know. So for any of you who have any final questions, please feel free to send them here. I'm going to check
Thank you very much for having me as well.
Bless you all. So if we're all up for it, I just want to put a feel out here. You guys are still interested in the body appreciation? You're still interested in that? So I want to hear yays or nays on that while I get it ready. Because this is a really beautiful meditation that I've done before with my clients in session. And I've actually seen some people cry when they have seen that. So I'm just getting the sound ready. Yes? Okay. So I want to see. Thank you so much, brother, for sharing your kind words here. And from
your
somebody
page
who
is absolutely amazing.
Is absolutely. So check out my brothers and sisters, Motivate, an inspiring young man who works as an engineer at one of my favorite airports that I haven't seen in over a year, and who's a very amazing motivator to our brothers and sisters as well. So thank you so much. And Khala here saying, "Aki bidayat, akil baba, uklu, di uklu, la dirum bal." Khala Aida, I love your food, especially the day when she had this amazing feast ready and she had this red pepper on the table. And I had just had such an amazing, satisfying, I was so grateful for that meal because I was working really hard. Oh, I was really hungry and I had just finished everything and I just wanted to clean my palate with this sweet pepper. And I took one bite of that red pepper and guess what? Guess what, Sara? It was not a sweet pepper. It was a hot
chili.
It was a hot pepper.
My mom is a fan of chili. She'll have chili everywhere.
So do you know what happened after that? I jumped up when I was screaming, and your mom, instead of helping me, you know what she started doing? She started laughing at me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Bless you, Khala. Allah yahfadhik, Khala. It's people like Khala and her who have got back that encourage us, that push us, and that just make us feel better, and who've been through this themselves in a different generation, right? Inshallah. All right, so I'm going to turn on the sound here, and I'm going to share the screen for this meditation. And I encourage you to listen to the words that I'm going to be reading, and encourage all of you, and you too, Sara, join in with us. This is your older cousin telling you what to do now.
Am I supposed to close my eyes?
So we're gonna do this meditation. Oh no, I haven't started yet. I'm just getting the page ready for it. Just give me a second while I get that ready.
Thank you, Amina, my sister-in-law. Really, I love you too.
Very sweet. Loving the love here that we're all supporting it. And that's how you do it, is when you have this genuine, sincere support and encouragement of each other. And this is what it means when we talk about sharing from a mental health perspective, is that when you provide this type of community that is compassionate and supportive, this is when people who are struggling can come out and get the help and support that they need. And for any of you who are struggling, you need to talk to somebody. I encourage you, please, please, please do check out Nasiha or UK. They have the it's called the Muslim Youth Helpline. Okay, so thank you so much for the person saying, I'm actually interested in the body image. Inshallah, if you message me, we can have a talk, inshallah. All right, so I'm going to turn this on right now. I just realized that's not going to work because it's going to mess up, so I'm just going to turn it on my other device. I have it ready here to share screen and everything. I'll share the screen, but I'll turn on the sound here because what's going to happen is we'll have the sounds of, let me just add the screen here first. Okay, so we have this beautiful imagery here. All right, and I'm going to turn on the sound from here. The reason being is if I turn on the sound from my laptop, then it's going to be a huge echo for our audience members here. So just give me a moment while I get that set up. I wasn't planning on doing this, which is kind of like a last thing, but I think you will really benefit from this beautiful meditation. I recall doing this with a student a few years ago, and they just were in tears when we did it. They were just in absolute tears when they started understanding and appreciating their body in a different way, because they've been so hating on their body, right? They were just not valuing the beauty that God had given them. And when we did this meditation, they were just in tears. So I've got the sounds going now, of course, internet. And so can you see can you see this on YouTube and Facebook? Is the sound good? Okay. Instagram, can you hear? Of course, the internet is. Can you hear that, Sara?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can.
Can you hear that? Okay. For those on YouTube and Facebook, if you can kindly give me a heads up that you can hear us, then I can commence, inshallah. All right. So what we are doing now is a wonderful. But Instagram, can you hear? You can't hear the sound? Can you hear the sound, the music? Yes? Okay. Shukran. So what we're going to do now is a meditation that we use to help relax the mind and the body. But it is designed to reinforce and appreciate your body. Okay, so those of you who can't hear clearly, just go find a clip on YouTube or Facebook. I'll just put it here in the, for those who are watching, I just put the clip and shared it on the screen. That's the clip. If you can copy that, I don't know how you can copy that. If you can copy that, then you're going to hear exactly what I'm sharing here. Great. So now, just quickly, Sara, somebody's asking, what strategy helped you to forget all the negatives? God, huh?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So this is an exercise that's created by a well-known teacher. The name is Jack Canfield, and it's very effective way to reinforce the habit of experiencing the body and appreciation. So it takes about 30 minutes. I'm gonna speed through it. We're not taking 30 minutes to do this. Read it slowly or have somebody read it to you slowly in a quiet place. Those who are interested, message me and I'll send you the resource. Okay, so I'm gonna get started for all of you. Follow. Welcome. Find a comfortable position, either sitting up in a chair or lying on your back, on the floor, excuse me, or on a bed. Take a moment and get comfortable and become aware of your body. You may wish to stretch various parts of your body, your arms, your legs, your neck, your back, just to heighten your awareness of your body. And now begin to take a few deep, long breaths. Slower breaths, inhaling through your nose, holding, and exhaling out through your mouth. If you're able to do that, continue the long, slow, rhythmic breathing. Now let's take a few moments to focus and appreciate your body. Feel the air coming in and out of your lungs, bringing you life energy. Be aware that your lungs go on breathing even when you are not aware of them. Breathing in and out all day long, all night long, even when you sleep. Breathing in for oxygen. Breathing in fresh, pure air. Breathing out the waste product. Cleansing and restoring the entire body. A constant inflow and outflow of air, just like the ocean. The tide coming in and out, and so send a beautiful and radiant white light to love to your lungs, and realize that ever since you took your very first breath, okay, your lungs have been there. No matter what we do, they still keep breathing in and out all day long. Now become aware of your diaphragm, the muscle below your lungs. It goes up and down and continuously allows your lungs to breathe and send light and love to your diaphragm. Now become aware of your heart. Put your hand on your heart. Feel it and appreciate it. Your heart is a living miracle. It keeps beating ceaselessly, never asking for anything. A tireless muscle that continues to constantly serve you, sending life nutrients throughout your body to every cell. What a beautiful and powerful instrument. SubhanAllah. Day in and day out, your heart has been beating. And so see your heart surrounded by white lights and warmth, and say silently, I love you. And I appreciate you to your heart. Now become aware of your blood, which is pumped through your heart. It is a river of life for your body, millions millions upon millions of blood cells, red corpuscles and white corpuscles, anticoagulants and antibodies flowing through your bloodstream, fighting off disease, providing you with immunity and healing, bringing oxygen from your lungs to every cell of your body, all the way down to your toes and up into your hair. Feel that blood moving through your veins and arteries and surround all of those veins and arteries. See it dancing in the bloodstream as if it were bringing joy and love to every cell. And now become aware of your chest and your ribcage. You can feel it rising and falling with your breathing. Your ribcage that protects all of the organs of your body, protects your heart and your lungs, keeping them safe. So let yourself stand in love and light to these bones and make up your ribcage, and then become aware of your stomach and your intestines and your kidneys and your liver, all of the organs of your body that bring in food and digest it and provide the nutrients for your body, balancing and purifying blood, your kidneys and your bladder, your whole body, from your neck down to your waist, surrounding, fill it with white light. Next, become aware of your legs that allow you to walk and to run and to dance and to jump. They allow you to stand up to the world, in the world, to move forward and to run and to make you breathless with exhilaration. Allow yourself to appreciate your legs, to feel them surrounded with white light, and see all the muscles and bones in your legs filled with radiant white light, and say to your legs, I love you, legs. When was the last time you did that? And I appreciate all of the work that you have done. And then become aware of your feet. They let you stay balanced as you go throughout the world. They allow you to climb and to run and support you every day. And so thank your feet for being there and supporting you. And then become aware of your arms. Your arms are miracles too, and your hands. Think all of the things you're able to do because of your hands and your arms. You can write, type, you can reach out and touch things, you can pick things up and use them, you can bring food to your mouth, you can put things away that you don't want, you can scratch an itch, turn the pages of a book, cook food, drive your car, give someone a massage, tickle someone, defend yourself, give somebody a hug. You can reach out and make contact with your world and with others. See your arms and your hands surrounded with that white light and send them your love. And then allow yourself to feel gratitude for having a body, one that you can use every day, to have the experiences you want to have and that you need to grow and to learn. Then become aware of your spine, which allows you to stand up straight and provides a structure for your whole body and provides protection for your nerves that go from your brain down to your spine and out to the rest of your body. See a golden light float up your spine, and from the base of your spine at your pelvis, floating up your spine one vertebra at a time, moving up your spine all the way to your neck, to the top of your spine where your skull connects, and let that golden white light flow up into your brain and become aware now of your vocal cords in your neck. They allow you to speak, to be heard, to communicate, to be understood, to sing and to chant and to pray, to shout and yell with delight and excitement, to express your feelings and to cry and to share your deepest thoughts and dreams. Then become aware of the left side of your brain, the part of your brain that analyzes and computes, that solves problems and plans for the future, that calculates and reasons and deducts and inducts. Just allow yourself to appreciate what your intellect provides you and see the left side of your brain totally filled with that golden and white light and shimmering little stars, and see that white light cleanse and awaken the love and nurture the part of your brain. Light begin to flow. Part of your brain that allows you to feel, to have emotions, to be intuitive, to dream, to daydream, and to visualize, to create and to talk, to your higher wisdom. The part of your brain that allows you to write poetry, to draw, to be creative, to be artistic, to appreciate art and music. See the side of your brain filled with white and golden light. Then sense that light flowing down the nerves into your eyes, and see and feel your eyes filled with light. And realize the beauty that your eyes allow you to perceive, the flowers, the sunsets, the heat and the cold, the weathers, the beautiful people inside and out, all the things that you've been able to appreciate through your eyes. And then be aware of your nose. Allows you to smell and to breathe and to taste all the wonderful tastes and smells of food life, the beautiful fragrances of flowers, and the essence of all the foods that you love to eat. Now become aware of your ears. They allow you to hear music, the sounds of what we're saying. Listen to the wind, the sound of the surf of the ocean, the singing of birds. Listen to the words, I love you. And be in discussions and debates, and to listen to the ideas of another, and to allow understanding to come forward. And now feel every part of yourself, from head to toe, surrounded and filled with your own love, Allah's love, Allah's light, from head to toe to fill you. Now take a moment to allow yourself to apologize to your body for anything you may have done to it, for the times you were not kind to it, for the times you didn't care for it and love it, the times you didn't listen to it, for the times that you put too much food or substances, for the times you were too busy to eat, too busy to exercise and not giving nutrition to you, too busy for a massage, too busy for a hot bath, and for all the times your body wanted to be hugged, comforted, and you held back. And once again, feel your body and see yourself surrounded with His light, with Allah's light. And now let the heart begin to expand out from your body and into the world, expanding out, filling this space around you. Now, begin to bring that light slowly back into yourself, very slowly back into your body, into yourself. And when you are ready, experience yourself here, now, in the present, full of light, full of love, full of His mercy and appreciation for your body. And when you're ready, perhaps you begin to let yourself stretch, tense and release. Feel the awareness and aliveness back into your body. And when you're ready, you can slowly begin to sit up, readjust, being in the room, being here, letting your eyes slowly open. Times you can make a transition. And ending this beautiful body appreciation.
Wow.
And may we always be blessed.
Wow. I'm gonna sleep.
I had to speed up and say it a bit faster. It does take time to do this. And
Put me to sleep every day.
Yeah, and for any of you who are interested in this appreciation, body meditation, please do get this book. This is a life changer. I use this in my therapeutic work daily with my clients. I refer every day to people who struggle with self-esteem, whether it's body image, relationships, because we know that low self-esteem, what it does, low self-esteem, it contributes to depression. It contributes to anxiety. mental health disorders, preoccupation with distortions, social isolation, your academics, your interactions. Self-esteem is the root cause of so many mental health issues and disorders, right? Like the one we were describing today. Get this book, it's on Amazon, it's at Chapters, it's on Indigo. You can find it online. Email me and I will email you. So email me at themuslimcounselor.com and I will email you what I have about this book, because I think you can download it. A student sent that to me. What are your thoughts, Sara, after we finish this?
I felt so relaxed. Oh, I was gonna sleep. Wallah, I was holding myself to not shut my eyes. It's really good because you know what, especially when you're anxious and when you feel stressed and stuff, just really concentrating on a meditation. It really, to be honest, I think I'm gonna start doing this, Berak. You know that. I'm not gonna lie.
I highly recommend it from the therapist. Highly recommend it. You see, when you meditate, meditation means to focus on a thought or process and mindfully separating yourself from the world and mindfully separating yourself from your judgments, right? When you focus this way, and this is specific for the body, have you ever looked at your body this way? Have you ever looked internally at the beautiful organs that you have that keep you alive, that make you alive with Allah's grace? No, I don't think we have. And this really helps us work on our physical body image, right? When you learn how to appreciate yourself internally, then it can help you work on the external, and especially when we combine it spiritually. So there's been a few requests here in terms of recording. Inshallah, one day. I've been so busy doing programs that each time I want to sit down and do this, I don't. And when I did do a meditation last time, a mindfulness body relaxation one, it turns out that I put the image and it didn't show the sound, and anything I was saying was gone. So inshallah, in future sessions, I'll definitely have something as a resource. Maybe we can do like a nice professional video that people can benefit, or just a simple one like this. Barakallah bikum to every single one of you who joined us today. We've been at this for almost 2 hours now. And those of you who missed out on Insta Ahl al-Bayt, alhamdulillah, you're here now. And we'll make sure that you can access these. Any of you who are struggling, please do reach out. You're more than welcome to reach out to myself, and I'll connect you with the appropriate resources. For those who want more inspiration from these beautiful stories, please do reach out to Sara, a therapist, but she'll definitely inspire you. And for any of you who have any more suggestions, any more ideas of what you would like for either Sara and myself, me and Almiya Tuqa, or any other topics that you're interested in, please do share, especially during the time of the pandemic where it's been very challenging to have face-to-face interactions. It's really important we take care of our mental health, our well-being, and especially during these beautiful holy months that we are in, Shahar Rajab right now, Shahar Sha'ban coming up, and the beautiful month of Shahar Ramadan coming up. So it's really important for us to be at our best. And another plug-in that I have to do right now is please join us on a webinar. If you go to my Instagram page, that we have a great program Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time, from the Marja'iyya of the Office of Sayyid Sistani here in North America, where we are working on amazing programs for our community. And this one's going to be lit. It's going to be on Islam and psychology, and we've got scholars, and we have myself and an amazing moderator where we're going to be talking about this topic. So join in and keep look out for all the other programs that we have coming up. I'm so relaxed right now, I'm talking extra slow, so forgive me for that. Sara, any final thoughts as we wrap up?
No, honestly, just everyone, stay strong and just remember you're not alone. And if you do need anything, I'm always here. Barak's always here. And just do what you have to do. Honestly, do what you have to do. Yeah, that's my final words.
Ma'jura, inshallah. Thank you so much, Sara, for sharing your beautiful story, inspirational story of going through something very difficult and using the resources and support and love and Allah and spirituality around you to get to where you are today, to the point where you're motivating others, inspiring others, helping others. Barakallah bikum, barakallah khala ilichem, and thank you for everyone who's participated.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Inshallah, we'll see you next time. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Ma'jurin, inshallah. Take care. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.